Grand Rising family, Grand Rising. Your welding coach, Black Phoenix, checking in. I just wanted to talk to you briefly this rising about if you write it down, fam. If you write it down, you have a 44% chance of winning this year. Writing it down, fam. Like you'll be surprised once you start putting your ideas into motion. If it's just writing the idea down, coming up with a concept, um, going that extra mile and start working on some prints, working on the idea. Because if you just sit around and just think about it and think about it and think about it, you can have some great thoughts. You can actually have some decent dreams. And the crazy part about it, you can get so caught up in your dreams where you never start living your reality. You want to stay asleep in a dream because the reality of your dreams are better than your reality, and you want to switch that up this year. We're going to have to start turning our dreams into the reality by writing them down, family, by working on them. And sometimes that small consistency of putting it on paper, knocking one goal out of the time, like I think what really discourages, what I have learned in my personal life, that if you put too much on your plate, if you put too much on your plate, you can be walking around and it gets heavy and you'll fall and you'll stumble and then you have a pity party. Then you're like, man, I done gave up. I done went too far, this and this, and then now you just set yourself back. But I learned if you just take one thing at a time, fam, just one small thing that you can work on, knock that out. That's one small thing that you knock out is going to give you fuel to keep on going. Like you're going to want to knock something else out. You're going to get a little bit stronger. You're going to get something else. And then you'll keep going. And then one thing about life that I realized, an old school dude told me this in prison. You never get to the point in your life where there is nothing you can improve on dealing with yourself. There's always something that you can change. So once you get your career together and you start getting that together, then you're going to be working on your life too. You're going to be working on things you need to change. Maybe habits you need to break. Maybe ways you talk. Maybe how you treat others in certain areas. Like it's always something you can work on. Like, so it's never get to the point where you got it. As long as you alive, you should always be working on yourself. That's what I heard the guy say. He said, I want you to live like you're going to die tomorrow. Meaning, watch how you treat people. Watch how you eat. Just take care of yourself a little bit better. Like tomorrow your last day, and you want to make sure you utilize all your time. But he said, but I want you to learn like you're going to live forever. Like you're never going to die. And what meaning is, as long as we here, we always progressing with information. We always learning. Even with technology, some people now are worrying about AI. They worried about AI taking their jobs. But if you create a career from a job and turn that job from a career to a business, you ain't worried about that. Or even if you have a secure job where you so good at what you doing, people gonna come look for you. You don't have to worry about work. You don't have to worry about money. There's nothing wrong with working, but you need to make yourself an asset. When it comes to assembly lines, people can die and they'll put somebody else right in their spot. But when it comes to having certain specialties and certain talents and skills, they need someone that's been doing that for 5 and 10 and 15 to 20 years. Everybody don't do that. So you have to stay consistent that long, and they be like, hey, we want to go get so-and-so because they've been doing that for 5 years. They've been just doing that specifically, and you the best in that lane. So just writing it down, fam, like that's one thing that I realized, and I'm already on it. So, I don't never like to go live or talk about something that I'm not practicing myself, because I'm doing the same thing. And you fight with yourself sometimes because you have to make a decision. Like I was talking to my classmate yesterday, and we was talking about, or this morning, we was talking about writing things in stone. Like once you do it and you write it down and you live it, it's written in stone then. Can't nobody take it from you. But until you actually live it and go through it and experience it, you can't have no tablet. You get what I'm saying? Like you can't have a testimony, because the tablet is that you survive, So, in order for you to survive something and have that testimony that you survived, you got to go through it. In order for you to go through it, you got to be consistent. So this rising, fam, I'm just thinking about, we got to write it down, fam. Like whatever it is you want to accomplish, if it's school, if it's something dealing with your kids, if it's something dealing with your personal growth. You know, you got people that still want to get their high school diplomas or their GEDs or get a trade or whatever your goal is. You want to buy some real estate this year. You want to make your first Bitcoin investment. You want to start, whatever it is you want to do, fam, you're going to have to write it down and go on and start doing it. Like, to me, I think we waste a lot of time sitting back wishing that things fall in our lap, fam. It's not going to happen. Like, if you wasn't born in a situation with a silver spoon in your mouth, I doubt if one day you just sit down on the couch and a spoon just fall in your mouth. It ain't going to happen like that, fam. You're going to have to go work and get it if you want it. You know, so if you really want change, whatever it is that you want in your life this year, whatever improvement that you want, you're going to have to do something about it. You're going to have to make a sacrifice. Like from being alone or, you know, taking that year off to disappear. You know, if it's from deleting certain accounts and saying, hey, I ain't going to be on there. I'm going to focus on this. Whatever it is you need to do it, fam, because we know how to make more money, but we do not know how to produce more time. And the more time we waste, family, we can't replenish. Like once it's gone, it's gone. You know, once we waste it, we waste it, fam. So, you know, the worst thing I would want someone to do is be in your 20s and then you wait to do things that I had to do now in my 40s. That's why I want to give you the game now, fam. Don't waste them time, because sometimes you just don't know. I just didn't know until now. You see what I'm saying? So if I know now and I know you going through it, because history repeats itself, family. There's nothing new under the sun. You know, the only thing that changes information, but what we experience as a people, nothing changed. People been getting born and dying since the beginning of time. People been having emotions and pain since the beginning of time. So we have to be realistic with ourselves and with our approach on what we want to do, and just say, hey, we're gonna make our mind up, fam. You know, every day I have to make a decision to get up at a certain time to get my mind focused, so that way I can assist someone else. And by me holding myself accountable to them, it helps me also hold myself accountable to what I'm trying to do, the goals I'm writing down and what I want to do. You know, so I heard a guy say, you never work harder for a job than you do on yourself. So you want to always work hard on yourself. If you're willing to bust your tail on that job, you know, I know some people that will go all in and then come home and do nothing with themselves. You'll go all the way out with a job, but you won't work on you. So if you're willing to put the same effort that you put into that situation, it's the same effort you're going to have to put into bettering yourself, to changing your situation, to seeing things differently, from traveling, from overcoming certain fears. If you don't get up and jump in the ride and go, you ain't going to get there, fam. You know, certain things, you know, we can create, I would say, safe havens for ourselves when we're going through things. We'll create a comfort zone where we feel good, and as long as we stay here, we okay. But now we realize that those things that we created are now, they're hindrance. They're almost like chains, you know what I mean? So now we've created these chains that we didn't have, but now we have them, but we got to break. So you're always working on yourself, man. We're always working on ourselves. So this Rising, I just wanted to come live and just say, write it down. Write down what you want to do. Write down where you want to go. And watch the progress. Because I'm going to tell you, it's amazing when you go back and see how far you came since you had that idea. And once you finish that idea, how far you came from the second idea. You see what I'm saying? And you always working on it. So if I could give you any advice this Rising that could help you improve your life this year, I'm going to tell you what my OG told me in prison. Live life like you're going to die tomorrow, but learn from life like you're going to live forever. And I think doing that will open up a greater door. Like, this is things I have to remind myself, because when I'm going through things, I have to think back on my hardest times, you know, when I was really didn't know where I was going or how I was going to make it. And my hardest times was in a cell, you know what I mean? Like, when I was like in a one-man cell alone, where I was really facing me, having to say, yeah, this is who I am. How can I change the situation? So sometimes you have to go back to your lowest moments to realize that if you survive that, and you done made it that far, you're gonna be all right. As long as you write it down, fam. Hold on, y'all be blessed.